Welcome, everyone. I'm so excited to tell you about this podcast. It's called The DK Project, but it's really The Darren Show. The DK Project is a radio show, but without the radio. So sit back, buckle up, and enjoy the ride.
Let's go!
Today's episode of the podcast is brought to you by the Lost Lake Creamery, located in downtown Mound, near the Harbor District. If you're out biking on the Loose Line Trail, make your way out to the Lost Lake Creamery. If you're on your boat, head to Cooks Bay. On the north end, there's a Lost Lake Channel. Follow it to Ice Cream Land. The Lost Lake Creamery will be opening soon. Hours 2 to 9, Monday through Friday. Saturday and Sunday, noon to 9. Located at 5575 Shoreline Drive in Mound, Minnesota. Check it out. Welcome back, everyone, to the DK Project, coming to you from the almost completed new studio. This has been an echoey mess that's finally getting wrapped up, so you're welcome. No, nobody's happier than I am, because cutting out echo shit is not easy to do. And we've got a special guest with us today, zooming in all the way from North Carolina via the Long Island. We've got Harrison Barron, owner, operator, guru of growth generators. Now, this is a secret that I've been holding under my belt. I didn't want everyone to know, because honestly, if you don't know about SEO, you don't know about a good website, you're wasting your time. So we've got Barron zooming in today. How are you, sir?
I'm good, man. How you doing?
We're doing well. Like I said, we just finally got this damn studio put together, and
dude, it looks good.
She's
looks
dialed.
Good. I'm jealous.
She's dialed. I'm not ready to put out a video yet of it, but damn, I'm close. I got a couple little pieces, but we should not have the echo. I was recording for the last month in my ice cream store, so we had a real bad echo problem, which, you know, and you do a podcast. He does the Brutally Honest podcast, so you're well aware of the finite noises that the host and the producer hear that maybe the average bear in their car doesn't hear. So, you know, you'll be listening to it and you're like, oh God, you hear that? And, you know, the average person's like, I didn't hear nothing. We're just rolling. So it's probably just being overly particular, but
it is.
It drives me freaking crazy.
I was the same way. I was the same way.
But it's kind of a nice, you know, time saver when you have no echo and you got clean audio, which I'm hoping we're going to end up with here. So if not, then fuck it, I'm going to burn the whole place down and we'll start over. Just kidding.
Oh, I was all in for burning it down and restarting.
My insurance guy listens. He's having a shit fit right now.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about growth generators. It formerly Barron Media, is that what it was formerly?
Yeah, man. Yeah.
All right. So you guys are doing SEO. You're building sites. You're helping companies out. We talked a little bit before we got on the air, and these guys are helping out the little folks and the big folks. He was telling me about one company that he worked with that actually got too busy and had to hit the pause button, which if you're a marketing guy, I don't know, is that a good thing or a bad thing? I mean, shit.
It's like a wet dream, right? Like it's the best worst news, because like you want to continue making money as the marketer, but like the fact that they're so busy that they can't handle the volume of customers you're bringing in is the best news ever. So it's
good and bad, but you almost have to have a division of your company that you know, this is stage 2, because now that you're kicking ass, we need to grow so that we can accommodate, because I have some other businesses. And one thing that I know in my real estate appraising business is that you cannot bring on new clients if you can't service them. So if you're not willing to grow, then you got a real problem. And that, you know, but maybe that's where you step in and go, hey, I'm going to call your competitors or people in other states that do the same thing and tell them how I blew your business up, because you know, you're not rolling with the punches, man. You got to grow so we can keep going. But what a badge of honor to have as a marketing company that, hey, we got you so busy you had to hit pause.
Yeah, it's cool. It's cool. It's a really good feeling. It sucks at the end of the day losing a customer. And look, I know that they're going to call us back in a couple months, but like when we're working with clients, we really try to see like, hey, what are your goals? Like, what do you actually care about? Because if you don't care about growing, then we probably are not a good fit for you, right?
Yeah.
If you want short-term stimulus, then, you know, call Grandpa Joe, right? He gives out stimmy checks. But like for everybody else, you know,
and hopefully those stimmy checks are going to end.
You like that, right? That little.
There you go. I totally agree.
You want to get busy, or you want to grow your business. We love working with companies that are like, hey, you know, grow us. But, you know, I tell everybody, I'm like, the worst time to call any marketing company is when you're starving for business.
Yeah.
Because
then it's too late.
You're so desperate. You're watching every dollar. You're watching every move they make. And it actually makes their job a lot harder, because then you start to micromanage them. Flip side of things, when your business is really good, or it's in the peak part of your business, that's the best time to hire a marketer. So that way they can continuously keep you busy through the slow parts, which is, you know, inevitable in every industry.
I totally agree. I think, and it's funny because I've got a friend who owns a business, and he pays through the teeth for his SEO and his social media campaigns and all of that kind of thing. And it could be a very costly venture, to where if people are micromanaging it and not seeing immediate results, you know, that's a tough relationship to continue, because you know, just like anything, people think if you mix the ingredients and you put it in the oven, you're going to get a cake, you know, where SEO and social media presence and that stuff can take a little time. I mean, it's like rolling a snowball. You got to go, and eventually it takes off. Now, obviously, there's certain worlds that are going to hit hard and hit fast. Then there's other ones that are going to be a lot slower, because if you're in a business that has a lot of competition, then you got to put your best foot forward. And this is the modern day brick and mortar. I mean, really, nobody has a retail store anymore. They go online, and if your online presence isn't blowing people away,
you're dead in the water.
Yeah, then you might as well start a new business. Actually, it was funny because I live in a little town that I don't even know, maybe 10,000 people, and we've got one restaurant that's nice, then we got like a pizza thing that's kind of shabby because it's, you know, poorly managed. But then we got two Asian places. One of them I don't like, the other one I do like. And I just found out that we're getting a third Asian restaurant. And I'm like, on one hand, I'm like, God, do we really need that? But on the other hand, it's like, God, it's nice to see a business putting some brick and mortar, you know, putting some time in and doing a build out. You don't see that anymore, especially with the COVID.
So I lived in a small town of Bayport on Long Island, and this is totally unrelated to marketing, but it's so, because it goes along with that. Super small population, right? Probably a handful more people than 10,000. I don't actually know the demographics and how many people live there, but all in all, I mean, the town was probably 2 to 3 square miles. I mean, it's a pretty small town.
Yeah, that's small.
But like, it's Long Island. It's more dense than most of your rural areas.
Island.
I think at one point, I want to say there was 6 or 7 pizza places in that period. And like, the funny part is, like, no pizza place was even remotely the same. Like, you had like your Sicilian, you had your plain pizza place, you had your specialty pizza place, you had the, hey, this is great once a month place. You know, it was so funny that, like, within this little area with 6 or 7 pizza places, you're like, you could literally eat. You could walk to every single one of them in 30 minutes and pass them all.
Well, but you're talking density is, you know, you got probably a lot more, you know, but damn, that makes me mad because we got like one pizza place. They opened a new one because there's a couple
in New York,
neighboring
man.
towns.
We got pizza everywhere, man.
What's that?
We're in New York. We got pizza everywhere.
Yeah. Well, you got to deal with some other crap too, though. We live in a lake community, so there's, you know, towns throughout the lake where there's another pizza place. They just opened up, and I ordered a pizza. I'm like, yes, deep dish, whatever. And it showed up, and I'm like, what is that? Is that a personal pan pizza? Like, is that little?
Sure.
You know, and then I ordered a salad thinking I'm feeding the family, and I'm like, you guys got to get your own shit. This is all me, baby.
Yeah.
And it was like expensive.
So I just looked it up really quick. 8,300 people approximately.
And you had how many?
We had like 6 or 7 pizza places at one point.
Oh my gosh. See, we're going to get to 6 or 7 Asian joints and we don't even have a strong, but this place, actually, we have a brewery, right? In the neighboring town. And this Asian place does a food truck. So having the brewery with a new food truck every day gives us like 4 new restaurants a week because, well, there's a rotation, cool. You know. But so this one, they do such a business at the brewery. They're like, we're going to open brick and mortar here. We're going all in.
Love it.
My daughter is on their mailing list. That's how I found all this out. Because my daughter is such a fan of this hibachi Asian crap. So anyway, that'll increase the heart attack rates in my area with that sweet shit coming in. So tell me about Long Island, man. God, that's a different world. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
I early on in my career, I was working as a realtor for real estate investors. And I hooked onto these real estate investors from New York, and they would buy shit without even seeing it. They'd be like, "Go find us what." And this was 20 years ago when real estate was still somewhat realistic, but not blown up yet. And the one guy's name was Gianni. I remember it, and I'm like, "That's so New York."
That is so New York, Staten Island.
Hell yeah.
It hurts.
And I was taking my now soon to be 30. Oh, there you go. It's 14 years. My soon to be 30-year-old who turned 16. I'm like, dude, I'm taking you to New York for your 16th birthday. And the Twins, my baseball club, happened to be playing there. And these New York guys are like, we'll get you tickets. We'll get you tickets. They'll be waiting at the gate. I'm like, all right, that's
they got
cool.
that thick Italian.
Yeah. And I'm like, so we get in there and they're like we have wait staff and shit. Like these are good seats at the old Yankee ballpark.
Were they mafia guys?
I don't know. And then they're like,
man.
Hey, well, you guys go to the game. I think it might've been a day game. It was a day game. No, it wasn't. Cause I remember leaving at night. He goes, and the next day we'll get together. I got a boat. We'll go out on the boat. And I'm like, oh man, I don't know about this shit. Like go to, that's where the mob kills people. Time to talk a little tech. Something you may not be familiar with, but need to be. ExpressVPN. Did you know that sending unencrypted data is like sending a postcard through the mail? Everyone can see it. ExpressVPN protects you from hackers who try to steal your private information. ExpressVPN also gives you unrestricted access to all parts of the internet. This especially applies to those of us here in Minnesota, where Fox Sports North has decided not to work with anyone, so you can't get your favorite games on your TV. ExpressVPN allows you to reroute your connection to a server in a country of your choice, making geo-restrictions a thing of the past. ExpressVPN is offering my listeners 3 extra months when you sign up for a 12-month package. Go to expressvpn/the DK Project and click on the limited time offer for DK Project listeners. Start watching all the programming you want and unleashing stuff you didn't even know was out there. Netflix in other countries, Spotify in other countries, prices are different. What they're showing is different. Check it out. expressvpn/the DK Project. Special thanks to the good folks at Grady Restoration. If you're in need of some insurance restoration work, not sure if you have any hail damage, storm damage, wind damage, give them a call, 952-472-1570, or look them up on the web at gradyrestoration.com.
Long Island's wild, man. Like it's just you got so much stuff. Like you got Bayport, right? Like Bayport's super tiny town. There are still 8,000 people in there. It's way more dense, but like Long I like New York. I don't I love New York. Where it's going right now, I don't particularly love. But look, that's neither here nor there. But like it's so crazy because like, if you're like, hey, I want to go to China, you could just drive 45 minutes and you're on an international plane going to China. Like if you wanted to go to Europe, like that's the wildest part. Like
that's true.
You have 3 major airports within about an hour and a half of most of Long Island, right? You have Newark, JFK, LaGuardia. Then you have your local airports on Long Island. So you have Islip, you have Republic, but that's not really public. That's more of like private airport. And then like you have aerodromes, airstrips all over the place, and then you have like the Hamptons. Like you can go from like poverty to filthy rich in 30 minutes or less.
Yeah, you got it all, man. And you got a good avenue to bring in, let's say, pandemic level viruses if you have to. I don't know.
We have great ports of entry for bringing in everything you don't want in the country.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just there.
With the good comes the bad.
Yes.
I don't know that I've been to actual Long Island. Like if I had to have it drawn out to me, does that seem like I've been to Manhattan and I've been
that's Long Island right there.
Well, I was going to say that looked like Long Island. Yeah.
Long Island, maybe.
I thought it was a picture
60s, but it's Long Island.
I thought it was a picture of a fish of some sort. So anyway, my brother-in-law went to school at UConn, so he lived in Connecticut.
Sure.
And I went to visit him, and I think I just told this story actually on the show, but I went to visit him, and we were young kids from this small town in Minnesota, and he's like, "Oh man, we'll go into New York, but don't look at people, cover your watch, don't, we'll go on the subway."
Oh, that's still a thing for sure.
And I'm just like, fuck, nah.
Pickpockets were real, dude.
I never had
go to
nothing
the wrong
to pick.
areas. It's like, but the craziest part is it's like, that's like you could go. Well, I shouldn't say Long Island. Long Island, for the most part, is, I would say, considered pretty much very safe, and depending on how far the further you get away from the city. But like, I feel like Long Island is like the biggest. Let's cram 10 pounds of shit in a 5-pound bag, because just going for, and anything north of New York City, by the way, for Long Islanders, is upstate New York. You could be 4 miles outside of New York City. You're in upstate.
Oh,
right? Like,
all
that's
right. How far is it to get to the Hamptons per se from Manhattan?
It's an hour and a half.
Oh, wow.
2 hours maybe.
Okay.
Depending on how fast you drive, and if you're in the HOV and all that kind of stuff. But like, it's crazy because it goes from like, you have obviously New York City, then you have Queens, right? You have Queens, all that kind of good stuff in there, and we just consider Brooklyn and all that. That's Queens if you're from Long Island. Okay. And then from there you go to Nassau County, right? Nobody even cared about Nassau County until Wolf of Wall Street was made. Right. That's where he, the Gold Coast and all that kind of stuff, and Gatsby and all that jazz. Yeah. And then you go into like Suffolk County. And the funny part is, like, if you talk to people in Nassau County who don't really travel all that much into Suffolk County, they think that, we ride horses. That's like, they like thought that we like just turned it back to third world country level, which I thought was comical. But then you have like where I live, right? So obviously it's an island. There's water on both sides. You have the South Shore where I lived, which was beautiful beaches. Then you had the rich, snobby, douchey people on the North Shore who thought that rock beaches and a cliff going down was the greatest thing since sliced bread, which made no sense to me, but each their own. And then you go to farmland. Like, you go to straight farmland. And then on Long Island, you go to farmland. It's wild. It's just like, all of a sudden you start seeing towns less frequently, and then you get into farmland, and then you get into vineyard territory. It's like this. It's all laid out.
How big is it?
77 miles, I think.
All right. Wow, that's crazy though.
It's bigger than that. I think it's 100 and something miles, but it's 70 miles to Montauk from my house. Okay,
so now, very, very familiar with Montauk from Billy Joel songs.
Yes.
Is that just a port, or like what is Montauk?
No, it's just like the tip of the island.
That's
it. It's like what's the thing in Florida that everybody cares about all the way at the bottom?
Key West?
Key West. It's like the Key West of Long Island. So really? But then you go to farmland, right? And then you go to vineyards, and then you go to like the working middle class who's working for the super wealthy, which is the next couple towns over. So then you go into like the Hamptons, and then you go to Aquabog, and then you go back to like summer Long Island South Shore vibes in Montauk. And that's all of Long Island, like right there. That's how it's all laid out.
So Montauk is on the end of the Hamptons?
Right. Yeah. It's literally as far out as you can go.
This walk through Long Island is brought to you by. Come on.
Yeah. So it's 118 miles long.
I'm freaking going. I'm going.
It's got everything. I mean, it literally has everything. It's just jam packed, and like driving and moving. It makes no sense to me personally. Like, now that I live in North Carolina, it's like way more free. There's way more space, but you have everything there.
So I've been to, I've taken the wife to New York, Manhattan for Christmas and all that kind of shit. And
sure.
All she ever brings up about New York is eating the pretzels and shit on the corner from the food cart guys.
Creepy old men selling pretzels.
Ooh, that ain't right. But now I'm thinking I'm gonna go. I want to go see all this shit. Is that like a weekend trip? Come on now.
Nah. You need like a solid week. And here's the thing.
A week?
Yeah, you need a solid week. If you really want to experience Long Island, you need like a solid. You really need like realistically like 2 weeks. And the reason why is because one day is not enough in New York City. You probably need 2 or 3 days in New York City. Then you
I'm gonna skip
might want to spend some time in Nassau. Suffolk, right? We have Fire Island. It's the best. Definitely spend 2 or 3 days there, right? You're going to want to go out to wine country. That's another day or two, right? We have Blue Point Brewery and a bunch of other like super big name breweries. And then you might want to go hang out in the Hamptons and Montauk. Like Hamptons might be 1 or 2 days. Montauk might be 3 or 4 days.
For more information,
like,
check out
2 weeks.
Long Island Tourism. Brought to you by. That's the
where
best.
Everything's extremely overpriced, highly taxed, and the roads are filled with craters.
Hey, I just went to the Dominican. Or no, I went to Costa Rica, and it was all inclusive, all that kind of shit. So I really didn't spend any money all week. And we're getting ready to leave, and we go to the little airport, and the tour guide, who we had like our own tour lady because there's nobody's there. So we have our own tour lady, and we're going to the airport to come home, and she's like, "You guys need anything? Because once you get to the airport, everything's expensive." I'm like, well, whatever. Your expensive and my expensive are probably different things, but we go to the restaurant at the airport because you got to be there 3 hours in advance.
Of course.
And the wife and I split a panini with fries. My daughter had onion rings and my son had macaroni and cheese, and we said water, so they brought us 4 bottles of water. $85.
Oh, yeah.
23% tax.
Yep.
I'm like, holy shit. Like,
yeah,
that wasn't on the sign. I would have taken some rusty
Airports
old
are expensive,
tap water.
man. They got you. Where are you going to go?
Yeah, right. Totally.
You can't call Domino's. Domino's ain't coming in there.
Nope, no way. And that's why, like, we went up to Maine and what is that out there by Martha's Vineyard and that kind of shit. And that wasn't horrible. I mean, it was pricey, but none of it gave me a heart attack. So I'm going to check it out. I always want to go check out the Hamptons and then Montauk, obviously, thanks to Billy Joel.
It's nice. It's just.
So how do you end up in North Carolina?
What happened?
How do you end up in North Carolina?
Affordable living. It's actually funny now. So I've lived here since November. Right? And I went back. The last time I went back, I think, was in January or February. I don't actually even remember. And I've started to get used to it. And I work from home. Like I stay home all day. I hang out with my dogs all day. It's the best. But like, I have space here. Like there's a lot of space.
Yeah.
And last time I went home, I drive a lot of the time. I like driving, and also I can listen to podcasts and books and all that good stuff. So last time I went home, you start getting into Jersey, going south north, and everything's like stacked on top of each other. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm like getting kind of claustrophobic. And then you're like in New York City, like there's nothing tall around here. Like, yeah, we have a city. Charlotte has like 4 skyscrapers. It's a joke.
Yeah.
But and there's parking everywhere. Like, and you don't have to worry about like somebody taking a door off your car or anything like that. And like the roads are well paved and people actually care. And like, I mean, there's a whole slew of things that I love around here, but it's like, I got into New York City and for the first time in my life, cause I used to drive like a madman on Long Island. I used to be in sales and all that kind of stuff. And I was driving through New York City and I'm like, why is everything so gigantic?
Yeah.
This is insane. And I'm like, everything's on top of each other. I'm like, oh my God, this isn't, I can't believe I felt stressed just being there. And like, now, like I'm home and I'm like, I walk my dogs outside and I'm like,
exactly. Yeah.
Space.
How was the North Carolina winter?
Oh my God. It's great.
Really?
It's great. I know that you're Minnesota?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, it's probably way better than it's light years ahead of Minnesota, but like on Long Island, it's like hit or miss between the constant, and maybe you guys are lucky with it staying frozen all the time. I don't know Minnesota weather all that well.
Cold.
Yeah.
Cloudy.
But Long Island gets cold and hot. So it'll vary. Like Long Island's in the sweet spot of like 20-degree weather to 40-degree weather all winter long. So that gives ice plenty of freeze thaw cycles, which desecrate the roads. On top of that, the amount of money that homeowners spend on taxes and things like that. The average home on Long Island is like $10,000 to $15,000 minimum for property taxes.
Wow.
Yeah, wow. That's like the bottom. And the roads are garbage. They're the paving. I mean, not the paving. Well, the paving could always be better, but the plowing could always be better. There's never enough salt on the roads. And even when there is enough salt on the roads, they're dropping rocks and things like that. Like you're going through windshields. My one buddy went through 6 tires in the winter.
Jesus. Does North Carolina get like that Colorado weather where it's sunny all the time?
Oh my God. It's 80 degrees here today. And the cold, we definitely got down in like we get freeze warnings. It's so funny. So like they tell you like, hey, make sure you keep your heat on because your pipes will freeze.
Nice.
Like, just normal. Like wouldn't you want your apartment to be like somewhat, or house to be somewhat warm? But you know, it's like it gets cold, but it's never like bone shattering cold. And if it is, it's like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning when it's the coldest.
Yeah.
And then like during the day, it's like 35 to like 50 degrees.
Sunny. See, that's what I need.
Yeah,
sunshine,
beautiful.
man.
Short. I was in a hoodie, shorts, and flip flops all winter long, and it was great.
Nice. Never going back. All right, we need to talk a little bit about growth generators here. Enough about the weather controversy. I'm checking out your site. It used to be. Now have you transitioned everybody over from the old site to the new site?
So no, we're still in like so yes and no. So we're still in the rebranding process, which is taking a little longer than I'd like, but it's a lot. So being that we're in technology and stuff like that, we have a lot of software still attached to our old emails, which is a pain in the butt.
Right.
But for the most part now, all of our clients know that we are now growth generators, which is cool.
Yeah.
I definitely, that's always super nice to have and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I thought about it for a couple different reasons. One, I mean, it's a way more friendly sounding name, right? Growth generators. What do? We generate growth for your business. I mean, like that's, right. I mean, that's it.
I can't believe that was available.
Yeah. With Barron Media Group, it was cool because people like knew who I was, but it was like, well, what is media? What kind of media? Is it video media, photo media? Is it ads? Is it SEO? Is it websites? There's social media. Like it was way too vague. So, and growth generator is still a little vague, but it was like, and at the end of the day, like I think about things, just the way I think about like my client stuff. What does growth and success look like in, 3, 4, 5, 10, 20 years from now? So for me, it was, hey, do I plan on selling the company anytime soon? No, I don't plan on selling the company for at least 10 or 20 years. But when I do, I don't want to have to be like, oh, well, my name's in the company. Now what?
Yeah, right. Better jump on it now than then. Yeah, that's totally true. What would you say is your sweet spot? Like obviously, you go to the website and you're seeing web and development and design, but where do you find that you get the best results and why growth generators? What separates you from everybody else? What makes you guys the go-to? Is it
Yeah, man. So I would say it's like it's a perfect symphony of a couple different things, and those things would be website design. We take a lot of pride in our website design, but unlike most website design agencies, we don't get too carried away in it. And the reason why is because a lot of times, if anybody's actually really gone on websites, you'll see a $20,000 or $30,000 website, and I've seen these websites, and they are literally works of art. But here's the problem: you lose. I went on a bunch of these because obviously I look at competitors and things like that, and they're charging, what does a $10,000 website look like? And some of these people are so focused on like how everything works and interacts in the website and all that kind of stuff that I couldn't actually figure out what the company did. So as a customer, right, how on earth are they? I'm actively looking to go find these companies, right? As a customer, how is that customer going to find out what that company does?
Right.
So we try to balance a nice combination of website design versus a user experience. Can the user get to where they want to go in 2 or 3 clicks or less, right? That's really the goal, right? Is there a call to action every reasonable amount of length in the website? Yes or no, right? Like what is really, and we look at it from like, what is the company's goals? Is it just to drive traffic to their website? Great. Is it to get new customers? Okay, then we got to take a really analytical approach where are we giving customers the option to buy, but we're not forcing sales down their throat? And I think that's really kind of where we thrive in, where we make really nice looking websites with the ability to, or I shouldn't even say the ability. I mean, we prove this all the time, but to have customers visit your website and actually convert into either at least an email address or potentially a customer right off the bat.
Right.
And and then once we have that, then it's like, okay, great. Now that we've found harmony in all of this, right? We have a beautiful looking website that can convert customers. Customers can figure out like what you do, how you do it, maybe some knowledge on your company and all that kind of stuff. And then we take it and say, hey, let's get you to grow to where you want to be. So Great example. Worked with, and really our target market is technology forward businesses specifically. And I'm not really limited to, because I really love working in a lot of different industries, IT and managed service providing companies. But we worked with a local landscaper, and he was like, hey man, let's start. And we started working with him in like August of last year. And he called me up in February. He's like, hey man, really haven't gotten any leads. I'm like, guy, you live on Long Island. Everything's still frozen. Calm down.
Right.
It thawed. The dude gets, I don't know, like 2 to 3 leads per day. And every single one of these leads is anywhere between, $200 to $400 up to about $20,000 to, if they're redoing a whole backyard and stuff like that. So he's like, dude, I asked him, like, can you send me pictures of like jobs that you're doing so we could add it to the website? He goes, dude, this is insane. You're never going to believe this. And because I only see what people actually fill out online. I don't see how many people actually call. He goes, I did 100 quotes last week.
Wow.
Name one business that's doing 100 proposals a week.
Right.
That's a small business. And I was like, he's like, dude, this is a game changer for my business. Right. And I'm like, wow, that's incredible.
So are you doing SEO implementation on that kind of thing? Or
yeah, man,
once you get the site designed, then you're doing back end so that, because a lot of people don't know that and find out the hard way. I myself have a website that was designed by someone who, sold me a package that, hey, this is going to be, and it looked great. But then I had someone come in and look, and this is before I met you guys. I had someone come in and take a look at it, and you can actually go in and look to see how much SEO is on your site. And if you don't use the right pictures, the right words, the right anything, you just really have a picture book, and it's not generating anything, because a lot of people don't understand the back end of websites and how SEO works. But basically, this is generating information on your site to make it seem like you're a current viable industry participant, so that Google finds you and thinks, oh, this guy's got a lot of shit going on. This must be a real thing. And then we're going to move him higher rather than Joe Schmo, who doesn't really have anything active, got all this old verbiage on his site, not getting anywhere. He's going to be moved down. So, just having a pretty website is great. But if you want to generate business off of it, you need to bring somebody in like Growth Generators to, I feel like I'm doing a commercial for you here.
Appreciate it. You're doing great.
Yeah.
Keep it going. I'm going to use this for the future.
Yeah. Copyright Ricky Bobby Inc. So having the bells and whistles, you got to have the back end too. And do you find that a lot of people don't understand, that there's more to a website? I mean, you can go anywhere and, Google, you can make a website, but whether it's effective and generating leads for you is a whole nother bag of bolts. How much time and you've got to be educating these people on what is needed. And once you do get and learn about SEO, which I know a little bit, I don't do it, but I know enough about it that it's not something you want to take on yourself if you want to have next level presence on the web, right?
Yeah. So it's a lot, right? And when we tell people like what we do, like, hey, we make content, we go back and revise the content, and usually that content falls in the form of blogs, right? Like, social media is cool, but social media is very instant, and really what we're focusing on is generating business for years to come, and also content that's going to work for you for 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for the next couple of years, right? And then we'll revamp it. And then when we actually tell people, it's always funny because when we tell people exactly what we do, they're like, well, I could do that. Of course you could, right? I could tell you how to build a house.
Right.
Would you trust living in it?
Right.
You need a foundation. You need walls and studs and floors and electrical work and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, you could definitely go do it yourself, right? And it's actually funny because I always encourage people to go do it themselves. And those are usually the best clients, or the clients that have fed up because they've tried it themselves, because we're not just writing a blog. We are running it through several filters. We're going through and really kind of custom tailoring that blog for that business and make sure like, hey, does it deliver value? Yes. Is there a call to action? Yes. Does it have the right verbiage that Google wants to see? That's the key differentiator right there. And making sure that, hey, we have a ton of software and things like that. And I spend more money than I'm willing to admit on different softwares that allows us to get the best data possible to make sure that people's websites have a fair a fair shot at ranking on Google. And then over time, right, like most of our clients, if you want a magic pill to be successful tomorrow, that's impossible, right? That's ads.
Right.
But if you want to grow, over the course of the next year or two, or you really want serious growth, we are the best fit because we care so much about your business. We obviously want companies to get bigger and things like that, but that's why we really try to focus on companies that are focused on getting bigger. If they're not focused on getting bigger and they don't really care about it, then we're not really interested, because you're going to fire us sooner than later because you're going to get too busy.
Right. No, and that's crucial. And I just don't think people understand the whole idea that making sure your content is current and linking it to other sites and linking it to stories and blogs, like you say, is so crucial. And the web I think it's going to stick around. The internet, I think it's going to make it. I just saw somewhere that Yahoo Answers is going away. They're finally throwing in the towel.
Oh, thank God.
They've had enough. Which if you're Yahoo right now and you're competing against the Google machine, how do you? Like, Google runs everything. Like,
yeah, God bless. Well,
and it's funny because I've just recently gone over to Google for my email and everything and all that, because I get so sick of Outlook and having to like change computers, and then you got to like transfer files and whatever, and it's like, with all the different computers and all the different iPads and phones and crap, just it's all online. It's right there. Bing, bang, boom, good to go.
Yeah, it's.
You guys are also working on implementing some type of a knowledge program to teach this stuff, right? Like we know what? Like,
I think that's one of the things that not only is a differentiator for us, but we firmly believe in practice what you preach, and I think that this is definitely one of the key differentiators for us, and really kind of, for anybody listening, like if you ever want to call somebody out, right, especially when it's a marketing company, ask to see what they do for themselves, right? If they're a Facebook ads agency, go online, Google Facebook ads library, and it will literally show you every ad, and just type in that ad agency, and you can literally see what ads they're running. So if they say that they're a Facebook ads agency and they don't run any ads for themselves, suspicious. Like things like that. So we take a ton of pride in the stuff that we do. So we have a super active, I say we and myself, because I separate myself from the company, but it is my company. But we have a Growth Generators YouTube channel. We teach everything that you're going to want to know as far as like how to build a website, especially if like you're a new business owner or thinking about becoming a business owner. Like, go check it out. You're going to find really, really good information on there, things that we've tested. Like I will put out a video and be like, this is the worst. I have a video on my own personal channel called "This is the worst website advice I've ever heard from somebody." Right. So like, I'm all in favor of calling things out, and we have a ton of like, that's the best part about what we do too, is because we want to make sure that we provide the best information possible and we're doing the best job for our clients. We have a ton of project websites. So, I consider my own personal website, harrisonbarron.com, a project website. Like, hey, it's built on a course creation platform called Kajabi, right? Like, is it good for SEO? I don't know. I'm going to go do a course, a case study on it, right? Can you actually make money with the platform? What's good about it? What's bad about it? And then I go online and I create a bunch of content about that. Like,
nice,
because people need to know about these things. And most of the time it's like, they either don't have the production quality that I have. I have a beautiful 4K camera here. I have a nice microphone here. I have my nice, they're not lit up right now, but I have nice lights behind me and all that kind of stuff. Like, I want you to enjoy a pleasurable viewing experience from a industry expert, or at least I consider myself an industry expert, where, hey, this is completely neutral ground. I don't care if you buy it or you don't buy it, but at least learn about it before you get it. Don't get sucked into like, oh my God, I need to buy it today. Go do some homework on it. Like, we don't care if you buy or we don't care if you call us or you don't call us, but we want to make sure that if you don't hire anybody or you do hire somebody, you're at least getting really good advice and insight based on what you want to do.
Well, and I think that's what's mostly overlooked with, today's world of YouTube and social media and whatnot. There's a lot of people that fall into areas where they're not experts. They're not as knowledgeable as you would assume them to be. And a lot of people are like, oh, well, I got a YouTube, did it. But, it's good that there's real information out there and that it can be called upon so easily. Looking up stuff on YouTube is simple. So I think it's a great option. And for those of you who are out there looking to do a website or to learn a little bit about what it takes to make an effective website, check out the growthgenerators.com website or harrisonbarron.com. And you also do a podcast.
Yeah, man.
Tell me about it.
Yeah, so started on a whim called Brutally Honest Podcast. It's actually my second show. So if you're a future entrepreneur, trust me, you're going to fail a couple times. So
that's real advice.
That is literally the best. You're just get ready to fail. Not a bad way, but like you need to know, it's pretty rare that people have a home run on the first shot. But the first show was called We're Live with Cam and Harry. Now it's and then we ended that show. He got too busy with life, and now we have the Brutally Honest Podcast. And I really just I did it for me. I wanted to go meet, people that I really liked. I wanted to go meet, I wanted to sit down and really kind of remove conversations with this little device. And, I'm holding up my cell phone for people that aren't watching.
Right.
But like remove that from the equation and just sit down and have like a really deep conversation with people. So the show is an hour and a half long to about 3 hours long on average. Yeah. It's
Are you
a long
serving
show.
snacks?
No, we would just straight through. Some days we were like hammered leaving the studio, but it was cool. Like those were some of the best conversations, right? Like my 100th episode I did with one of my best buddies, this guy John, who let me stay in his office. If anybody's curious, go check him out, watchgauge.com. I have to give him a plug because he's just the best. But he like let me come in there and I was at the time I was bartending also because for extra cash, and it was super fun.
Yeah.
And I left we had a work party, so I left the work party hammered. Well, I wasn't hammered at the time, and I got to the studio with him, and we, I had a couple drinks, normal stuff. Definitely was sober driving, but then we got to the studio, and he happened to be there, and I was like, "You want to do the 100th episode with me right now?" And he's like, "Yeah." Oh, walked home that night. That was brutal. Definitely, I was like, all right, I'm going to just go home after the thing. And I saw him at the studio because it was in between the bar I worked at and my house. So I was like, okay, I'll just swing by.
Why not?
We did the 100th episode. Walked home and it was one of my favorites. And the reason why I love my podcast is I got to meet some incredible people, business owners, doctors, lawyers. I mean, you name it, like people that most people would never have access to, right? Like one of the top real estate agent on Long Island by volume, 242 houses, I think last year or something like that.
Who's that?
Absurd numbers. Would you say who was it?
Yeah.
Brian Karp.
Oh.
Do you know Brian Karp?
You know what? I literally this morning recorded a voiceover for an educational thing talking about real estate people. But I think it was Kobe Karp was the KARP.
Okay.
But yeah, it's interesting because there's so many people in that New York, Long Island, that area that are, when you look at a big realtor in my area, they're doing numbers. But when you look at a big realtor in that area, it's like, holy shit, they're doing numbers. So that's pretty interesting. I might have to look for that one.
Sick numbers.
So I'm a real estate
but he would
geek.
never take a meeting with 99% of people. Like, not that he didn't want to, he was just too busy. Like he's up at 4:00 in the morning. He's in bed, jammies on, under the covers, phone off. He doesn't even put his phone in the same room. He has a traditional alarm clock, wakes him up at 4:00 in the morning, and he's in bed by 9:00 at night. I mean, like routine and regiment was this guy. And that's how he sold so many houses. Like it was just built in his DNA.
Damn.
And he, you want to talk about dedication and what you like to do? He was like, I could do a podcast at 5 a.m. Now, there's no way on God's green earth I'd wake up at 5 a.m. for anybody except this dude.
Did you do it?
Like that was the cool part about it. We did a podcast at 5:00 in the morning.
At the gym, huh? Out there hitting the iron.
And he's ripped. He's
of course he is.
He played D1 football. I mean,
he's got the hot wife. He's got the whole package.
He's got everything, man.
I don't like this guy. He sounds like a dick.
he's the nicest guy ever.
Of course.
But he's so busy. And like, that was the crazy part. Like I got access to doctors and lawyers and all these kinds of people that, because they knew I had a podcast, and that's really how the whole business started, was I just had a podcast and people really enjoyed hanging out with me. And I didn't care about how many people listen to my show. It was all about let's just have a good time. Let's build a really good conversation. And now I have 99% of these people's phone numbers. That's and if I have an emergency or I have a question about anything like that, I shoot them a text. I'm like, hey, what's going on, man? Or like, I'll call them on Thanksgiving and be like, hey, hope everything's good. couple of years ago, I think I made like 100 phone calls between my house, commuting to my grandma's house, like an hour away.
Wow.
And I called and called and called and called. And I think I called like 100 people. And I was like, hey, just want to wish you a happy Thanksgiving. Who does that? I call people on their birthdays. I'm the only person I know that calls people on their birthdays.
Oh, why? It's so easy to send a text or an email.
That's exactly why. That's exactly why. Yeah. Gotta do, and it's not for business. And I want people to understand that.
What the hell? It's a phone call?
Yeah, like that. That's the way I think about it. Like even my clients, like if I know their birthday, I will call them on their birthday and wish them a happy birthday. If I know a monumental thing happens in their life, I will call them or email. Like my buddy just called me before. We're building a website for him. He had a baby a couple weeks ago. Called him the day he got home. I'm like, dude, I know it's your birthday. I think it was his birthday that day. I'm like, dude, I think he brought his baby home on the day of his birthday. It was something like crazy like that. But I called him up. I'm like, he's like, hey, what's going on, man? My baby's like, I got to take care of the kid. What's up? And I was like, dude, congratulations on the baby. Happy birthday. He's like, he looked at me like, I know he was so caught off guard because I just wanted to wish him a happy birthday.
Nobody does that anymore.
Nobody. And like, that's the level of care I have. Like that's for everything I do. It's not just, I'm not trying to talk myself up, but I just think it's crazy that
if I don't get a call on my birthday this year, I'm going to be pissed off, man.
Send me your birthday. I'll call you. I'll call you every year for the rest of your life on your birthday.
I'm going to do it. I'm going to send you my birthday. And if I don't get a call, boy, I'm dumping this episode.
I'm a freak. I love calling people on their birthday. And it's just,
do you have one every day? How many?
No, I probably only have, I probably have about 50 to 100 people that I call.
Okay.
I don't just call everybody. I call people that I actually care about. Like if I, not saying, look, if there's any existing clients that don't get a phone call on their birthday, I probably don't know about it, honestly. But like you have to be important to me. So, those people get phone calls, and that's realistically how many people that and I would make more. Like there's only so much time in a day, and remember, right? But
we all know
I love it, man.
I got to wrap this thing up, man. We're running long. I gotta direct people your way. We're gonna have an affiliate program. So if you do go check out growthgenerators.com, make sure you enter the DK Project podcast in there somewhere to let them know that we sent you. Check it out. It's a great avenue. Where else can they find you? Your website, you're on social media. What do you got?
It's actually funny. I don't use social media that much. I use LinkedIn a lot. By the way, if anybody comes from the show and mention Darren's name, and I will happily give you a juicy discount. Juicy. Because Darren is the man. For sure. And then look, if shameless plug, if you're an entrepreneur or looking to start your business, go check out my personal website. I'm going to be doing some cool stuff over there. Live coaching trainings and all that kind of stuff. But that's, really the websites and YouTube, Harrison Barron, the Money Entrepreneur, and Growth Generators are the two spots to go to for finding us. That's awesome, man. Cool. Well, again, your website for the main company is growthgenerators.com. Check it out and go in there and get yourself a website. Get a package. Get some SEO. Get out there. Let online. Yeah, let people know, right? The best place to hide a dead body. Second page of Google. Yeah, that's so true. Because I was gonna bring that up earlier. Like, have you ever been to the fourth page of Google? Like, why? No, nobody goes there. Why would you? So check it out. Thanks again for all the time. HarrisonBarron.com and Growth Generators. We will put a link in the show notes and everybody can check it out. So thanks again, Harrison. You have a great day, man. We'll check in with you down the road. Dude, thanks so much for having me. That's it. That's the end. That's a wrap. Read the shtick. That's a wrap for today's episode. Don't forget to subscribe and tell all your friends. If you'd like to reach out, you can use the studio line at 612-504-6500 or by email, thedkprojectpodcast@gmail.com. And of course, there's always social media at the DK Project Podcast. Thanks for tuning in.